hated. The Bengal breed. "Help me release them!" she shrieked, her palms slamming into his shoulders, knocking the camera loose and jerking it free of its mooring on his shoulder. The crash of the equipment to the ground was only a distant sound of destruction, as Douglas used his fist to send explosions of brutal pain tearing through her head, and she fell to the cement floor. Agony lanced through her, and Cassa couldn't stop the whimper of pain that fell from her lips. Okay, she could forget getting any help from him. She pulled herself up to the control panel, tears spilling from her eyes now as she began to press, punch, and slap any lever or button she could find. Sirens began to blare, strobe lights flashed in red and blue. A mechanical voice began spitting warnings and directions in a coded gibberish that made the pain in her head intensify. "You damned stupid bitch." Cruel hands latched onto her hair and jerked her to her feet. Cassa didn't bother to scream. There was no one to hear her cries. There would be no one to care. Her hands jerked to the hand gripping her hair as she began to claw at his fingers with her nails. Struggling, she was only dimly aware of the enraged, horrific roar that sounded too close, too furious. "You ignorant little whore," Douglas yelled again. His expression twisted into lines of rage as he shook her by the hand in her hair. "Do you know what you're doing? They're abominations. Fucking animals pretending to be human." His free hand slapped her across the face, causing her head to ring with explosions of light as another warning blared through the control room, followed by a roar of animalistic rage, unlike anything she had ever heard. Cassa cringed at the sound as Douglas suddenly stilled. "You knew," he snapped as he flung her away from him. Her legs wouldn't hold her up. Her head was filled with clashing cymbals reverberating with agony. She collapsed to the floor, shaking her head. "I didn't know," she cried out, forcing herself to stare up at him. "You're a monster, Douglas." The smile that curved his lips was one of triumph. "You told me the plans to get in here, Cassa. You told me the animals they were going to free, and you told me, dear wife, of the repercussions to the council if they were freed." He kicked out at her, laughing as the toe of his boot connected with her side and sent her scrambling in an attempt to crawl from his reach. $10 million, Cassa, in an overseas account. Who the fuck needs you or your connections now? You gave me the means to betray these crackpot idiots that want to suck up to animals. Now, you can live with it." A piercing animal scream exploded through the room. Through the veil of her hair and the tears filling her eyes, Cassa watched as Douglas paled, glanced to the sealed doors to the pit, then turned to run. It happened so fast, and yet Cassa swore she watched each detail of movement as though in slow motion. She saw the only Bengal still standing, his enraged, demonic eyes spitting amber fire. Blood dripped along his body, his face, his shoulders, the stripes that extended from his buttocks around his thighs. Blood flowed over the heavy muscle and lean lines of his golden body. He lifted a broken steel stake and hurled it past the slowly opening cage door, swashing through the control room windows with deadly force. The wickedly sharp blade buried itself at the base of Douglas's spine. He screamed as he went down, and his head arched back on his shoulders as he screamed again. The stake protruded from the base of his spine as blood spurted around the wound. He convulsed, agonizing sounds of horror and twisted pain escaping his lips as Cassa watched the only Bengal to escape the pit. He was the one the others had fought to save. She had seen that much. She had watched as they had sacrificed themselves to save this one.